We've spoken about how important it is to plan to fail as a small creator, but what happens if we succeed? We beat the odds and we make it to where we want to be. We go full time as content creators. Because believe it or not, there are questions we need to ask ourselves in that scenario. Most importantly, are we ready for that? Specifically, what I mean by this is if your next video was to completely blow up, it was to get hundreds and thousands, millions of views, would that be the content that you wanted to represent you? For me, this is very simple. Yes. Because I've found my niche and I know exactly how and why and what sort of content I want to make, I know that if any of the videos that I'm about to make were to be the ones to blow up, I'd be ready for that. I have videos planned that follow the same sort of structure and are in the same niche, so if people come to really love one of those videos, they're going to have more of that headed their way. This may seem like a fairly obvious point to make, but especially for people who don't really have their niche yet, this can actually be a really difficult thing. What if you're the type of person to do like a wide variety of content? Maybe you do a gameplay video here, a review there, a vlog here, and maybe, I don't know, you do a meme video and that's the one that blows up and people come to expect more meme videos. Is that a niche that you're willing to cater to? Or was that maybe just a one-off experiment that you just wanted to throw out there? This is why it's so important to have a niche, which is something I have talked about before. Find the card here? No. Find the card here. One of these sides. Find it there. But if your next video is the one that blows up, you need to have a plan in place, basically. You need to know how to follow up that video with videos in the same sort of niche that will appeal to the same audience. But my friends, that is just the tip of the iceberg, as far as I'm concerned at least, when it comes to planning for success. Because from what I understand, you know, just my perspective as someone who hasn't made it, but knowing the experiences of people who have made it, is that it is not as easy as it seems once you've gotten there. Maintenance is a big thing. One of the things that you really need to strive for if you're going to do creation, like content creation, as a job is longevity. You need to make sure that the content you are making can actually sustain you for however long you intend to do this. If this is the only job that you want to have and you've gotten to the point where you have this job, you need to be ready to adapt and to change and to continue evolving your content to make sure that people keep coming back. Not only that, but you have to adapt from making videos and working on videos maybe maximum an hour a day to doing it full time and what that means. But I'm talking in very broad strokes here, so let's get more specific. If my next video blows up, what's my plan? What am I gonna do? First of all, I have my next 7 videos planned. So I know exactly what I'm going to roll into next time I start making a video. I'm not going to have to sit and think about ideas. I have the ideas in place. I've begun the gameplay gathering, I've begun the research, and I've begun scripting my next few videos. And that puts me in a great position because it means I can just move on to the next project pretty seamlessly. If my next video blows up, I can go straight into the next one and get that out, hopefully pretty soon. Not only that, but I have things in place to keep that new audience that I may end up getting with my next video, hypothetically, if that were to be the one to blow up. I have things in place, I have contingency videos to help keep that audience satiated somewhat. For starters, I have 2 other channels than my main channel. I have my gameplay channel and I have this channel that you're watching this on, so there's always going to be some form of new Roq content. And a big part of that for the 2 channels that aren't the one you're currently watching is compilations. If my next Roq video blows up, what better to give the audience than a huge compilation of stuff I've done previously. My plan, for example, is to do compilations of the first 5 seasons of my videos, and I'm going to frame it in such a way that it gives the audience a perspective on where I've come from to where I am now. It's going to be less of like a here's the videos that I've made. It's going to be like, hey, a lot of you are new here, let's take a look at where I came from and see how much I've evolved in that 5-year period between then and now. And you know, that's going to be a long video, so it's gonna give that audience a lot to tide them over until the next new video comes out. Similarly, on the gameplay channel, Roq's Rec Room, I have compilations of my 2 Let's Plays that are going up. They're pretty much already edited. I just need to render them out, which is gonna take a long time because they're 12 and 14 hours each. But that again, it's giving a lot of content to that new audience to keep them satiated. So I have a plan for my content, but what about my workflow? I'm at an interesting point in my life right now because I am sort of on the edge of a new era of my life. I'm currently working on my dissertation, which is my big final university project, and I'm also looking for work at the moment. I'm trying to secure a job for once I have graduated. So if my next video were to blow up, it would be in the middle of my dissertation. So it would make the workflow pretty interesting, I feel. If I was to blow up, I would maybe slow down on the job hunt. Maybe just a little bit. But for the most part, I would have to continue working on videos the same amount I have been. I would have to continue giving most of my time to my dissertation and working on videos whenever I got the chance. But I do have something in place for if that situation comes to be, so I can get videos out a little bit quicker, and that is hiring editors. It's something that pretty much every YouTuber does, and there's a big reason for that. It's because this is a very time-consuming job, and trying to do all of the different bits of all of the different things that go into making a video and maintaining a channel, it's a lot! And if your livelihood depends on doing that regularly, it just makes sense to hire on people to help do that. So I've actually been experimenting with hiring my friends to do little bits of editing for me here and then, and if my next video blows up, I would have them on more regularly. I would maybe hire more friends, and I'd have them doing the tasks that I don't have time to do. You know, the way I've been doing it, I've been having friends do very simple edits, and then I tackle the big stuff because I still like to have that hand in the process. So I would probably keep doing that, but I would plan it out so that most of the basic edits were done within like a few days if I was able to hire that many people. And then once I finished uni, if I was at the point where I was able to take YouTube full time, I have a plan in place for that too. And it is literally just to work this like it's a 9 to 5. Get up nice and early, have a productive day, and then log off at the end of the day. Because even as someone who isn't doing this full time, YouTube can be so all-consuming. Whenever I upload a video, all I'm thinking about is the stats, the analytics. Is my click-through rate good enough? Am I getting a decent number of impressions? What's the retention graph looking like? How are my views doing compared to my average and compared to my highest performing videos? It's a lot! And I think it would be really healthy if I was to take this full-time to be able to give myself a stopping point. So my plan would literally be to structure this as though it were a 9 to 5 job. Log off at the end of the day, take weekends off, and make sure that I have a good work-life balance. And you know, I could get into the specifics of like, I'll record gameplay on these days, and I'll edit on these days, and I'll work on thumbnails and what have you these days. But like, it's hard to plan that specifically when I don't really know what that would look like, what my life would look like if I were to be done with uni and to go full time. But having an idea of what your next steps should and will be is really important. Because I feel like if you make it, if you get to the point of full time and you don't have a plan, it's going to be really hard to maintain what you've worked for. Whereas if you have an idea of your content output, if you have an idea of your workflow, if you have an idea of what your life might look like, it's gonna be a much smoother transition. And again, just like with planning to fail, it's not something that you might even need to think about. You might not need to get to the point where you're thinking, what happens if I succeed? It might not be necessary, because statistically, we might not succeed, right? But again, on the off chance that it does happen, it is crucial to be prepared. So yeah, those would be the three main areas I would consider if I was to be planning for what happens when I succeed. I would think about my content pipeline, what's coming next, how do I sort of have it line up with the video that blows up. I'd be thinking about my content workflow, the day-to-day operations of making my content, what processes are going to change, what processes are going to adapt, what processes are going to be new. And I would consider my work-life balance to ensure that even if I make it, I don't let YouTube consume my entire being. And planning these things, it's just going to make things easier for us, and it's going to keep us in a healthy mindset no matter what the outcome be. If you plan for failure and you plan for success, you can't really go wrong because you are prepared for every scenario. And if you're able to remove a little bit of the anxiety of the unknown, then it's going to make everything so much nicer for you. So hopefully that got you thinking about what would change if tomorrow you were to succeed on YouTube, your next video were to blow up. And as always, if you have thoughts on this and it's got you thinking about what might be next, I'd love to hear from you. And you know what? Planning to succeed is believing that you will. So hold on to that belief, plan to succeed, and hopefully we'll get there. We will get to the point where these plans for after success aren't plans, they're our reality. That's at least the hope. I've got my fingers crossed for all of us.